I've been a fan of cartoons ever since I can remember. I grew up with some of the best cartoons of all time: SpongeBob, Chowder, Flapjack, the Powerpuff Girls, etc. There's such an indescribable feeling cartoons give me. I'm so caught up in their world, wishing so badly to be a part of it. I have such fond memories of watching cartoons on Cartoon Network when I was a little kid. Me, my sister, and my dad would watch Chowder and Flapjack reruns. We had a few kids' DVDs when I was really young, but as I got older, I started to build a collection of my own. If I recall correctly, the first DVD of my own was SpongeBob's Absorbing Favorites. When I was around 4, my dad started giving me and my sister an allowance. I think it was $2 a week. I don't remember how, but I managed to save up enough money to buy SpongeBob the first 100 episodes on DVD, and man did I use that set. I was so happy to have gotten it. So happy, in fact, that I brought it to show and tell in kindergarten. I ended up playing that set so many times, and I still have most of it today. All that's missing is the first case cover and the outer box. Everything else is there, albeit scratched to hell, but the discs still play somehow. As much as I love Nickelodeon for SpongeBob, The Fairly Odd Parents, and Tough Puppy, Cartoon Network was my favorite network. Throughout the years, I got exposed to more classic Cartoon Network shows. My mom is a huge Powerpuff Girls fan, and we played the life out of her DVDs. And don't worry, we bought her replacements. As I kept getting older, I continued to dig through the goldmine of classics. I also fell in love with Adventure Time and regular shows as they came out. When we had Netflix, I remember checking out a show called Johnny Bravo, and we had one volume of the Scooby-Doo Toon Tour mystery, and that exposed me to Codename Kids Next Door and Courage the Cowardly Dog. Unfortunately, we don't have that disc anymore. I really wish we did. The point is, I love cartoons. SpongeBob is great, regular show is great, and Flapjack is really fantastic. But no other cartoons give me the same feeling that the last Hanna-Barbera shows do. I particularly started to fall in love with older cartoons. Really old cartoons. Looney Tunes, Pink Panther, Tom and Jerry, Woody Woodpecker, and many, many others. More recently, however, I've been getting into the old Hanna-Barbera lineup. Huckleberry Hound, The Jetsons, Magilla Gorilla, Yogi Bear, etc. I fell in love with their sense of style. Something Hanna-Barbera utilized well was their limited animation approach. While some might see it as lazy, it sure as hell saved them money, and frankly, I find it charming. It allowed them to make a lot more shows, and while on the hunt to collect and watch all of these classic shows, I found something called Two Stupid Dogs, and this takes us up to the first few Cartoon Network shows. The first season or two of Dexter's Lab, Cow and Chicken, I Am Weasel, Johnny Bravo, and the Powerpuff Girls were all produced by Hanna-Barbera until 2001. These last several Hanna-Barbera shows create such a fun environment for me. With Two Stupid Dogs, it's about anything, really. Dexter's Lab is a weird sci-fi, robot battles, fantasy dreamscapes comedy show. Powerpuff Girls is ass-kicking action. Johnny Bravo is about an egotistical idiot trying to get a girlfriend while being tone-deaf to his buffoonish ways. Cow and Chicken is, I don't even know what it is, but I love it. They all share this sense of risqueness and edginess, so to speak, and they all stylistically have similar animation and layout. These shows capture the essence of an era I love, even though I was never around for it. The characters from all of these shows have almost UPA level thick outlines and really push the 50s Hollywood era I love. One of the great things these shows do is capture the creativity and imagination of passionate people. They capture this beautiful euphoria of being a kid and not giving a shit. Just living with the naivest mindset, exploring, learning, and having a good time. Not knowing how awful life can get. And adults are constantly on the lookout to shield kids from harsh realities until they're old enough to handle them. Our society now, at least in terms of animated shows, helicopters us. They're too safe. These shows weren't. They were the roll around in the mud kind of shows. They portray a worldview that I grasp to. Life is comical in its insanity and absurdity. Life is an adventure. It's unpredictable, and that's what makes it so great. If you think things will go according to plan, go back to where you came from. It'll save you a lot of disappointment. These shows really feel full of passion, and in essence feel like they came straight from a kid's head. The imagination and philosophy are so free. It really feels like the creators of these shows are letting their inner kid out, their inner fun, their inner imagination, their inner creativity. I don't want to be so hyperbolic as to say that cartoons have lost their way. That doesn't accurately articulate my belief, but it gets us on the right path. Cartoons evolved in so many ways, leading to some really creative and groundbreaking shows. But I think the real charm of the cartoons comes from the artists' styles, their take on the world, the lens they look at things with, how they characterize people, stereotypes, environments, places, backgrounds, any of it. Really, at the core of any art piece, we're looking for the message and what it all all means. These last Hanna-Barbera cartoons just feel like the perfect mix of the old and the new. Classic story structure mixed with newer, more chaotic story structure, a more liberty-focused philosophy, a culture that is a bit dated and one I miss dearly, a culture that wasn't so overly politically correct and wicked. These shows are essentially period pieces, reminding me how freedom was valued. Nowadays, that doesn't pop up much. A good analogy of this is to imagine a pendulum. It starts on the left side, the beginning. As we reach the 90s, we've now been doing animation for 50 plus years, and the pendulum hits the middle, the perfect balance of the left and right sides, the old and the new, the order and the chaos. If I'm being honest with myself, some of the extra magic, the charm, comes from having watched these shows when I was younger. I admit that. Not while they originally aired, sure, but it's another example of nostalgia. But those particular shows accentuate those feelings of nostalgia by reminding me of the joys and wonders of childhood. To me, this begs the question, why do we yearn so heavily to relive our childhood? Now, the answer may seem obvious. Duh, it's because we're naive, we were learning so many new things, we had unconditional love from our parents, hopefully. We had safety, security, not a care in the world about adult problems, like paying for food, housing, clothing. But I believe the biggest part is the fun we had. Using our imagination, creating whatever the heck we could come up with and making the best of it. People always talk about children being super creative, and that's so true. Someone made a great video analyzing SpongeBob, and it covered this topic. We all start out as a SpongeBob and turn into a Squidward. We look down on having fun and being so wild and creative like a child because, oh, stop acting like a child. Grow up. I think that's really sad. There's surely a time and place to be serious. But why make your life more miserable than it has to be? Have some fun, let loose, live life to the fullest. The first step to doing this is to stop caring what other people think of you. To take it back for a second, the key idea I'm really trying to share here is something I only realized while writing this. 90s Cartoon Network shows were the peak of individual liberty and freedom for the medium. For film, they had a period of time where it was free for all, but pretty much as soon as motion pictures were really popular with the whole family, there were heavy restrictions on them. Animation is very similar. In the early days, there was some risque and not so family-friendly content being made. But then seemingly all throughout the late 40s and the 50s, 60s, 70s, animation was pretty tame. Things started really taking shape when The Simpsons came around, and not only paved a path for individual creator-driven cartoons, but for being able to have more edge. From 1993 to 1999, I really feel like this was the peak for individualism in the genre of corporate-funded and produced animated television. We as a society do things so backwards these days. We censor all the things we shouldn't and expose kids to all the things that are perverse and wrong. I feel like it really captures how the mindset of America has shifted. I believe that's happened because of the infiltration of communism from China and other countries. Undercover agents have been slowly but surely taking over our institutions, places like Hollywood, and shifting our culture to be so ass backwards that in the day and age of 2023, a large majority of people on the street wouldn't be able to tell you what a woman is if you asked them. I know I'm getting political, but that's art. It's a political, philosophical statement. It's a conversation. It's a story. It's an adventure. It's a representation of our own experiences. We use stories to learn, relate, and grow. I just feel like we're in a state of numbness, of wicked darkness, not just in animation, in film, in music, in culture in general. Things are so tense, perverted, anti what the country of America stands for. I know the 50s weren't perfect, but it was better than what it is now. A good way to tell how far society has crashed is to look at the burdens children have to bear. When they're not allowed to be kids, you know something's wrong. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed what I had to say. I wanted to get all of that off my chest. I wanted to pinpoint what exactly I loved so much about Cartoon Network and their early shows, and I really think I found it. Art is supposed to be provocative, a representation of our own experiences, a statement, a story. It's supposed to have a message. It's supposed to just be a conversation. It's to relate things to other people, and I think the 90s animation did that so beautifully. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.